Remember to click like, subscribe, the bell notification, and whatever else YouTube has you clicking on to support us. What's up everyone, I'm the Kaiju no Comment from the Toku and Animation News Network. Today I'm taking a look at the next issue to Godzilla vs. America. Godzilla vs. Texas. Yeehaw! After traveling through the city of relaxation, Godzilla heads to the birthplace of gunfire and cowboys, Texas. Okay, not really, but they do have politicians who abandon them during a snowstorm. This book is brought to us by Matt Frank, Devin Kraft, Joe Eisma, and John Lucas. You should all know who Matt Frank is by now, given I have talked about him in previous reviews, including Mothra, Queen of the Monsters. Devin Kraft lived for a year in Japan through an exchange program, which allowed him to work directly on manga with Japanese pens. Joe Eisma has also worked for Marvel and DC, on top of Valiant, and helped create his own series called Morning Glories. John Lucas has had his work compared to that of Jack Kirby. This walking popcorn and caramel syrup has done work on 2000 AD, Starman, X-Men, and Dick Tracy. Will Texas be too big for Godzilla to handle? Watch to find out. The characters and plot. A special note, my review copy does not include a credits page, so I do not know the titles to the first and third stories. Also, I can only guess which artist did what based on what I have seen in my research online. Our first story revolves around a podcaster named Richard Perkery who denies the existence of Godzilla. He calls Godzilla a hoax, featuring an author who agrees with him on the matter. Richard just denies every attack as an illusion and is pretty hilarious, as it goes to show how idiotic these types of people are just to keep up their own delusions of grandeur. The second story is titled Crude. It revolves around father and son oil tycoons who exploit everyone and everything they can, accidentally unleashing Hedorah in the process. Godzilla shows up and shit happens. Following that is a generic, action-packed romp about a giant robot mech called Tex-Mech defending Dallas from Godzilla. It's all action and no plot. But it ends up being fun because Tex-Mech spouts nearly every stereotypical piece of dialogue you would expect to hear in Texas. But don't, because they don't actually talk like that. It's hilariously bad. Finally, my least favorite tale is You Missed It. You Missed It is pretty much just some old dude saying, "Wow, back in my day." Hell, Lucas even states this on the last page. It shows Austin in the 90s being a place full of all kinds of music that made the town illuminate. Godzilla walks around, looking kind of annoyed, and yet it keeps him at peace. Then it jumps to today and Godzilla wrecks the place due to how noisy and obnoxious it was. It's not an awful story, just nothing I found to be remotely enticing. Overall, I enjoyed this issue as much as the Portland one, as it got really creative and told some really enjoyable stories. My favorite is probably Crude, but I'll get into why when I cover the art of the book. The monsters. We've got a pretty good variety in this one. Godzilla is naturally the leading man in each narrative, and his design changes across each of them. The first story features the Kiragoji version, which was nice to see. The other three are original takes, but they all look like Godzilla. There's also some giant vulture type critters in the first one. It was nice to see Hedorah in the second, and Tex-Mech was too hilarious not to like. I wish we knew more about it though. The artwork. As I said earlier, Crude is my favorite story of the lot, and part of it has to do with the art. It's a darker story centered around two rich bitches without a care in the world for anyone beneath them, and the art exemplifies this. It too is done in dark tones with a lot of blues, blacks, reds, and browns. My first favorite panel includes the car and oil tanker driving down the road, as I love seeing them in action from the front. The line work gives it the illusion they are in motion. The other favorite of mine is when we see Godzilla and the sky around him is illuminated in red, with windmills on fire giving a dark orangey glow to everything. The purples and blues used in You Missed It were equally pleasing, especially as it draws your eyes to Godzilla so you can see the emotions he is feeling throughout the story. The first tale was typical Matt Frank fare, who is truly an exceptional artist. My favorite panel there is when Corpus Christi becomes Corpus Crispy. As for the one featuring Tex-Mech, it has a watery color feel to it, but the line work seemed a bit unfinished at times, making it my least favorite. I was also not a fan of the way Godzilla was designed in that one. Overall, I once again enjoyed this issue of Godzilla vs. America. I really do feel like IDW taking their sweet time to bring out more issues allowed all the artists and writers to let their ideas cook. Let's see what they have in store for Seattle. Until then, bye.